So, I think there are two topics that I need to address. It's been a very, very long time since I directly addressed the channel, but recent events coupled with one long-term event that has been simmering has prompted me to make this video. The first thing, I just want to start out, talk about the channel really quickly. I know I've been on a unannounced hiatus. I've been a little busy with other projects, other things, but I'll be coming back soon. The stipulation is that there's probably going to be a bit of a change up in video format. I'm still working out the details of exactly what direction I want to take the channel in, but for now I think Source Mod Spotlight might be going away. I want to try and do actual reviews of the mods I play, rather than doing basically what amounts to Let's Plays of the entire mod. I think it'll be better quality content if I take that away and just do legitimate reviews. Once again, like I said, however many years ago now, when I restarted the channel, Half-Life 2 cool mods won't go anywhere. I'm going to keep that around because I know that some people like the whole no talking in videos, here's just some gameplay if you want to check out the mod. So that's not going to go anywhere. Anyway, I'll be re-uploading on a regular schedule shortly, hopefully, if all goes according to plan, and stick around for that. So now let's talk about, let's talk about Marc Laidlaw and Epistle 3, or what is effectively Half-Life 2 Episode 3's story, posted as a letter, both from Gordon Freeman and Marc Laidlaw himself. I have complicated feelings on this, but I want to preface the whole thing with a bit of a story, and that is basically my story of how I got into Half-Life, which is a long one, but I think it's appropriate. This is a Half-Life channel, isn't it? Half-Life is a lot. It means a lot to me. Half-Life is my favorite game of all time. The first Half-Life. Half-Life 2 is not far behind it. And I obviously built my channel around the game. I still play it frequently. It's had a very large effect on me as a person. So for this, I don't want to talk about how Valve has changed in the past decade. I don't want to talk about that and become like negative. I don't want this to turn into a rant, because it could turn into a rant about Valve. I want to talk about Half-Life. And for me, that story starts in middle school, when a friend of mine introduced me to the YouTube series Freeman's Mind. And through that YouTube series, I got into Half-Life. It was my first PC game. I played it on my mom's crappy laptop, and it blew my mind completely, despite its age at the time, because this was 2006, 2007 maybe. So, you know, Half-Life 2 was already out, Episode 1 was already out. Episode 2, I don't remember if it was out at the time, but it was, you know, around that time that Episode 2 of the Orange Box came out. But despite the fact that it wasn't up to graphical snuff, despite the fact that I was a middle schooler, I was playing, like, you know, my experience with shooter in that time was like Call of Duty, you know, something caught me about the first Half-Life immediately. Like, from the very first episode of Freeman's Mind I watched, I needed to play this game. So I ordered the disc on eBay, completely naive to the fact that Steam existed. I installed it on my mom's laptop, and I played through the whole game really quickly. It did not take me long to beat Half-Life the first time. Interesting story. I got stuck at the beginning of Power Up. I couldn't get past the Gargantua. I had really low health, and I was playing with the most wonky control setup, because again, it was my first PC game. I had no idea like WASD mouse controls, so I was using enter to shoot. I was using the arrow keys to walk, and I was using the left and right arrow key to look left and right. And then if I wanted to look up, I would move over to the mouse and use that to look up. And I was not good at that time. I was not a good PC shooter player. I had no idea what I was doing. And I got stuck on the Gargantua. I couldn't get past it. So I enabled God mode because I looked up the cheat, but then I forgot how to disable it. So I played through with God mode from power up on in my first playthrough of Half-Life. Anyway, I couldn't run the source engine, so I couldn't move on to Half-Life 2. That laptop was just not good enough to even get anywhere close to running source engine games. But because of that, I think it was a good thing, because I ended up spending numerous hours in Half-Life Opposing Force and Blue Shift, and Opposing Force became my and the friend who introduced me to the game our stomping grounds for years. We would we were part of a very small but active community that still played Opposing Force multiplayer. There were probably like 10 servers at the time. I don't know what it's like now. I haven't played in a very long time, but most of those servers were empty, and there was a small and active player base, and I grew to love being a part of that, like just a small tight-knit group of people. And like you'd log onto a server and you would see a bunch of people you recognize. It wouldn't matter what server. It's like, oh, what server is everybody playing on tonight? Let's join them. And it was just always the same people. That friend and I created a clan in Opposing Force. Sort of for good that did. It was just a community effort to have some fun, get-togethers, plan events, that type of stuff. We called it the Zombie Squad. And after school, every day, we'd jump into an Opposing Force server. Most usually, it was the server Ooks Private Beach, custom map. It was a great time, and we'd blast each other in the face with shotguns and shock roaches until nighttime fell and we had to do our homework. That continued for a long time. I have a lot of hours logged into Opposing Force. Later, I joined up at a website called TWHL, the whole Half-Life, and that was a Half-Life modding website. I taught myself to use the Hammer editor using that website's really excellent tutorials and very supportive, once again, small group of people. And I started making custom maps. Sometime after that, I was working on a gold source mod. It was Half-Life 1997. It was one of the many attempts at making a recreation of the Half-Life alpha or beta that was shown at E3 way back when. That didn't go anywhere. It died. That mod died. And later on, I went to work for a mod called Hypernova, which would have followed Eli Vance's Escape from Black Mesa. That mod died as well. I was a curse on every mod I joined. But anyway, when I finally was able to run Half-Life 2, I got my own laptop. It was like my big Christmas present that year, and I immediately downloaded the Half-Life 2 demo. But when I did, I couldn't finish it because it was dark out, and I was scared because the Half-Life 2 demo has Ravenholm. So I got to Ravenholm, and it scared the shit out of me at the time. So I had to wait until morning to finish playing. But I loved it. I really did. And then I played episode 1, and I played episode 2, and I eagerly awaited the arrival of episode 3. And I waited. And I started this YouTube channel. Well, not technically started. I started it before Half-Life, but I started doing Half-Life 2 cool mods inspired by Super Capo 999's Half-Life Cool Mod series. And I waited. And I frequented the Black Mesa forums. I was happy to follow the development of what at the time looked like a very promising Half-Life remake. And I waited. It was a slow process. That is, the process of giving up. I never felt incredibly frustrated or angry. I also never got super hyped up over any of the vague references, rumors, speculations that flew around over the past 10 years. But over time, I did give up. I can't pinpoint when exactly, but at some point I realized Episode 3 was dead in the water, that it wasn't being worked on, that it probably wouldn't see the light of day, at least not from Valve. Laidlaw's letter from Gordon Freeman and himself is depressing, but it's also closure. I'm thankful to him for having given us that. I'm disappointed in Valve for making it come to that, but I'm not overly sad about where we are. Half-Life has been kept alive for the past 10 years solely by its amazing modding community. Valve's silence has not diminished the creativity of the amazing fandom that this game has. If Half-Life Modding has taught us anything, it's that our community has some of the most dedicated and amazing fans out there. I mean, just look at mods like Black Mesa, or more recently, Transmission's Element 120. They prove that there are people out there who are willing and able to push the source engine to its limits, to modern graphical fidelity, to keep the series fresh and interesting, and to give us the same sense of creative passion that Valve once exhibited in their own game development. There are already some mods that serve as pseudo-sequels to Episode 2, one of which I have played on this channel already. Or 2. Did I play both of them? I don't remember. But anyway, now we have basically a full story outline given to us by Marc Laidlaw. And I guarantee, give it time, a lot of people are going to try. Very few people are going to succeed. But someday, a group of modders, a group of very talented and very dedicated people are going to get together, and they're going to bring us Episode 3. I don't know when that's going to be. I mean, you look at the development cycle of a mod like Black Mesa. I mean, the end result's worth it, but it's a long wait. But we're Half-Life fans. We're used to waiting, and we can keep waiting. And in the meantime, we'll just keep playing other mods. At least I will. So that's all I have to say on this subject, really. Don't be discouraged. You know, we got something, and we got closure. So be happy with that, and look forward to the future, because the modding community isn't going anywhere, and I'm not going anywhere, not anytime soon. So until next time, take care.